full custody of that baby. Okay? That's alleged. Okay? But what we do know is you committed matricide. Okay? And you pled guilty to it. Okay? We do know that. And we know that's grounds for you not to have custody of a child, right?
Gypsy Rose Blanchard appears to be caught up in yet another controversy, and this time, she is making headlines for her response to content creator Nina, also known as Influencenza. In a bold and somewhat questionable move, Gypsy posted an AI-generated video that manipulated Nina's voice, making it sound as if she was calling herself a bully. While this may have been intended to turn the tables on Nina, it has instead sparked even more backlash and intensified the ongoing feud between them. Rather than discrediting Nina,
you weren't found guilty, you pled guilty. As in, you knew that you did it, but now you're saying that you didn't do it. Remember, you've been saying that you don't consider yourself an unaliver, right? But you did matricide, okay? Furthermore,
Gypsy's use of AI has raised concerns about the extent to which she is willing to go to control the narrative surrounding her life. The feud began when Nina released a video claiming that Gypsy does not have full custody of her newborn daughter. According to Nina, sources close to Gypsy confirmed that Child Protective Services
have legal custody, which is what I am told you have, but you don't have physical custody and you don't have rights to take care of that child. Okay? And considering that you were willing to offer up your daughter for a grown man's pleasure at the age of 13,
CHPHS became involved shortly after the baby was born, leading to a custody arrangement in which Gypsy's ex-husband, Ken Erker, has supervised custody. Nina alleged that Ken's mother is currently the one overseeing these visits, and that Gypsy's interactions with her child are limited.
Demona is the character that she played. This will all make sense. Go ahead and do it. But Gypsy, I love when you make videos about me because I love it when you call me Big Papa, because all you do is bring more people to my page, and I'm loving it. So anyway, so if you're worried about me getting the bag, you're helping me. Love bugs, so sweet.
Furthermore, she stated that Gypsy's baby has been diagnosed with a rare genetic condition called microdeletion syndrome, which was another factor in CPS's involvement. She went on to claim that Gypsy's access to her child was similar to how her own parole visits were structured, suggesting that her ability to regain full custody may depend on her completing her parole successfully. These allegations hit Gypsy on a deeply personal level.
Just made a whole post on her TikTok page calling me out and saying I'm a liar. Let's be clear. Any information that I've given, I've said alleged when I was unsure. Gypsy, you can call me a liar all you want, but this information is coming from your family members, honey.
As they not only questioned her ability to care for her child, but also brought into question her legal rights as a mother. Rather than addressing these claims with direct evidence, Gypsy chose to fight back in a way that some have called manipulative by using AI to mimic Nina's voice in an attempt to undermine her credibility. This response has sparked mixed reactions.
Nina's been calling Gypsy out on her shit since day one, okay? Nina is all over her like white on rice. She knows. She's got the information. Nina.
With many pointing out the irony of Gypsy accusing Nina of spreading misinformation while she herself is relying on artificial means to shape public perception. The move has led some to believe that Gypsy is more focused on controlling her image than actually disproving the allegations made against her.
So all along, Gypsy did that whole like impressing, blah 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 blah. She never really like done a video per se saying her name because that's just how Gypsy is, right?
What makes this situation particularly concerning is that Gypsy is still on parole, and her online behavior could have serious consequences. Engaging in social media disputes, especially by using deceptive AI-generated content, is risky, as it was this kind of behavior that led to her being banned from social media in the first place. Unlike Nina, who is merely a content creator with no legal restrictions, Gypsy has to tread carefully due to the terms of her release. Yet, despite these risks,
doesn't this look like, I don't know, like an aunt that saw their niece or a visitor?
she appears to be throwing caution to the wind, diving back into the very kind of online drama that previously got her into trouble. Nina, however, is not backing down. She has doubled down on her claims, maintaining that her sources are legitimate and emphasizing that they come from individuals close to Gypsy. She has even pointed to Gypsy's criminal past as a reason why CHPHS would have intervened, arguing that it is entirely reasonable for the agency to monitor Gypsy's parenting situation given her history. In addition to the custody allegations, Nina referenced an incident report that suggested Gypsy at one point considered giving her daughter to her father, Nick Godejohn.
That does not look like a man in the water. That looks like somebody that was visiting. The reason why I say that is even though she's holding her, there's still a slight distance between them. Kind of like where you pick up someone else's baby and you're scared to like drop them and you're kind of like, hi, and like that.
This particular claim has caused a stir, as it raises serious concerns about Gypsy's ability to provide a stable environment for her child. Despite her efforts to shut down the accusations, Gypsy has yet to provide solid proof refuting Nina's claims. She has not publicly shared any legal documentation confirming that she has full custody, nor has she addressed the specifics regarding her child's alleged genetic condition. The status of her relationship with Ken also remains unclear, as neither she nor Ken have made an official statement regarding whether they are still together. This ambiguity makes it difficult to take Gypsy's denials at face value.
The second reason is Ken is around for a reason. They purchased a house. Whose house would the house be? Whose name would the house be in? His, because he spoke about the approval, right? Who bought that house? Because Ken ain't got no money. Who bought the house?
As the lack of verifiable evidence leaves room for speculation. At the same time, Nina has also failed to provide publicly accessible documents proving her claims, relying instead on sources that cannot be independently verified. The absence of concrete evidence from Gypsy has left room for speculation, and her defensive stance hasn't entirely convinced the public that Nina's claims are inaccurate. Instead of dispelling doubts, Gypsy's response seemed to intensify the controversy. Meanwhile, Nina showed no signs of backing down after Gypsy's AI-generated video.
Trust. Why would they buy him a house? To keep the baby there in Louisiana. Raina is in, or alleged to be in, Texas. I personally think Raina is in Louisiana, and that's...
She not only reaffirmed her accusations, but emphasized that her sources were legitimate, specifically pointing to members of Gypsy's own family. By doing so, she framed her claims as more than just rumors, arguing that they came from people with direct knowledge of the custody situation.
Because I don't think they would just give Ken by himself custody. Now, also, I want you guys to think back to the way Gypsy spoke about the baby on Access Hollywood and ET Entertainment. When she described her...
This approach allowed her to present her narrative as more credible and not simply based on outside speculation. In one of her videos, Nina went further by bringing up Gypsy's criminal history, particularly her conviction for her mother's murder.
There's more of a description like a visit, right? Because moms with a new baby would say, oh, it's been so tiring, it's been amazing. Or, I have a lot of stressful nights, she won't go to sleep, but, I love her to death. No, she said, oh, Ken gets the best verbs.
She used this as a key argument, stating that given Gypsy's violent past, it was understandable why CHPHS would intervene. This, in her view, reinforced the idea that Gypsy's current situation wasn't random, but rather a predictable consequence of her past actions.
Why would it be generic? Remember, Raina spoke about the baby. She spoke about how she was alert. She was looking at lights. She was looking around. That was a description of somebody that had the baby.
However, Nina's response wasn't just limited to Gypsy's criminal record. She also referenced an incident report suggesting that Gypsy had at one point intended to offer her daughter to her biological father, Nick Godejohn. If true,
Yeah, on her shit since day one, okay? Nina is all over her like white on rice. She knows. She's got the information. Nina has got the tea. So all along, Gypsy did that whole like panini press thing, blah 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 blah. She never really like done a video per se saying
this would raise serious concerns about Gypsy's ability to care for her child. According to Nina, Gypsy's statements about having full custody were misleading, as it appeared that she only had legal custody rather than full physical custody. This discrepancy was another point she used to argue that Gypsy's version of events was flawed.
because that's just how Gypsy is, right? Until today. And she used AI to make a video that's like Nina's talking, but it's not Nina, okay? Gypsy, you are messy, and you're going to regret that one. I mean,
Despite her firm stance, Nina did not provide new publicly available documents to substantiate her claims. Instead, she relied on what she referred to as reliable sources. But because these sources were not independently verifiable, it left room for doubt.
Down. And Gypsy, come on. Anyways, go follow that drama. It's the funniest thing I've ever seen in my whole entire life. And I ran to the comments.
Nevertheless, she maintained her position at Gypsy's past played a significant role in the situation at hand, and that CHPHS's involvement was not surprising but rather an expected consequence of her history. The back and forth between Gypsy and Nina has turned into a standoff, with both sides making bold claims without providing substantial proof.
Not like y'all bring the baby, but like y'all the baby taken by the laws. I mean, technically, Gypsy still has to abide by the law. She's still on paroles. But seriously, is Ryan going to get the baby? It's true. Gypsy don't have custody of the baby no more.
The fact that Nina's alleged sources include Gypsy's family members lends some credibility to her statements, but without clear verification, it remains difficult to determine their accuracy. Similarly, Gypsy's counterarguments, while passionate, lack the concrete evidence needed to completely discredit Nina's version of events. Gypsy's frustration in response to Nina's accusations highlights an ongoing struggle with how her past continues to define her.
Oh, that's across to everybody, but that's what happened. Okay, seriously. Would Ryan's be runner-up? Say no job Ken and Gypsy weren't allowed to have the baby. Would Ryan's get the baby? I'm asking for a friend. Honestly speaking, seriously, she got the baby.
She has argued that Nina is deliberately fixating on events that happened 10 years ago rather than focusing on her present circumstances. To some extent, her frustration is understandable. Her entire public identity has been shaped by the crime she committed and the media spectacle surrounding it. However, in dismissing the relevance of her past, Gypsy seems to ignore the fact that it continues to influence public perception of her actions today.
The baby's on Anderson's last name. You can't tell me that wouldn't happen. By the law. Friends, watch out because you might have a whole other baby on the way. Because, seriously, what would happen with that? I think you'd be runner-ups. You're going to have a baby? You think Gypsy lost the baby or not?
Her criminal conviction and the details of her case remain at the center of how people view her, particularly in situations involving her ability to parent. While she may want to move forward, the reality is that her past cannot be entirely separated from discussions about her present. For Nina, bringing up Gypsy's history isn't necessarily an attempt to deflect from the current issue, but rather to frame it in a broader context.
And I'm actually astonished that none of these news media outlets have done their actual research. If you even look at the FOIAs, you will know this is all a lie. And there's so much in there.
The scrutiny Gypsy faces today is not just about her recent actions, but about how they connect to patterns from her past. This adds another layer of complexity to the situation, as Gypsy's efforts to distance herself from her past contrast with the public's continued interest and how it affects her current decisions. The feud between Gypsy and Nina has escalated into a cycle of personal attacks and increasing hostility. Gypsy has actively used her platform to respond to Nina's criticisms.
That shows like documentation in the court records. But everybody just went with, I don't understand it. I really don't understand it because I personally have seen these FOIA records. I'm going to do a deep dive on my YT page because it's
often relying on indirect methods such as having family members or friends confront her publicly or attempting to discredit her through social media. The conflict took an even more dramatic turn when her friend Bree allegedly contacted Nina's employers in an effort to get her fired. This move, seen by many as excessive and manipulative, only added fuel to the fire. The nature of Gypsy's response has complicated her own claims of being a victim of harassment.
The court records and proof, and it's a lot. And I don't think I would be able to do that here on TikTok because it's so much. It's jam-packed with so much juicy information.
While she has positioned herself as someone who is being unfairly targeted, her own actions, especially her continued presence on social media, have contributed to the ongoing conflict. This is particularly significant because her parole conditions explicitly prohibit her from posting personal content online. Despite these restrictions, she has continued to engage in public disputes, which could have legal consequences. There is a certain irony in Gypsy portraying Nina as the aggressor while simultaneously taking actions that prolong and escalate the feud. This contradiction raises questions about how she perceives the situation. She appears to see herself as unfairly attacked, but does not acknowledge how her own behavior has kept the drama alive. Both Gypsy and Nina have used various platforms to publicly criticize one another, but Gypsy's continued engagement online, in direct violation of her parole conditions, brings an added layer of risk.
The fact that no media outlet has taken a responsibility, and it's a responsibility because you have a duty to the people that are viewing you, to be honest.
It remains unclear whether she is genuinely trying to defend herself or if she is intentionally keeping the controversy going. Her willingness to defy parole restrictions suggests that she may not be thinking about the long-term consequences of her actions. As this conflict intensifies, Gypsy faces increasing uncertainty about her future. Her ongoing engagement in the feud not only puts her at risk of further legal trouble, but also raises concerns about her judgment. By continuing to fight this battle so publicly, she may be putting herself in an even more precarious position. The question now is whether she will recognize the potential consequences and step back, or if she will continue on this path despite the risks. While Gypsy may feel justified in defending herself against Nina's criticisms, her approach could ultimately backfire. Her actions suggest a deeper struggle between wanting to control her own narrative and being unable to fully escape the scrutiny that comes with her past. Whether she is trying to find redemption or simply protect her public image remains uncertain, but for now, the tension between her and Nina shows no signs of de-escalating. The situation continues to unfold, and time will tell whether Gypsy's choices will lead to further complications or if she will eventually decide to disengage from this ongoing conflict. And that's where things stand for now. The feud between Gypsy and Nina doesn't seem to be slowing down anytime soon, and with both sides standing their ground, it'll be interesting to see what happens next. Will Gypsy take a step back and focus on moving forward, or will this drama continue to spiral? One thing's for sure, this situation is far from over. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Do you think Gypsy is being unfairly targeted, or is Nina just exposing the truth? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss any updates. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.